was one of a young group of defensive backs for the San Francisco 49ers, all rookies. And that group would eventually that year go on to play a pivotal role in carving the path for the San Francisco 49ers' first Super Bowl championship. And during that time, Lott, I believe, mentioned that it was Bill Walsh who established a set of standards that they played by and also conducted themselves by in the locker room. He set the tone that established their behavior, that created the path to winning not just that championship that year, but in subsequent years. And so it's in that context that I look at Ashton Gentry's comments when he says that if we're being honest, it's been a losing culture around here for a long time. Well, Ashton just got there. And so what I take from that is that Pete Carroll has not set the stage, that is, set rules and established a way forward that at least allows the players to see how if this and that are done, they will achieve wins. And then the coach can say, okay, we didn't do this and we didn't do that, therefore not winning. So automatically, if you do this and do that, including the coaches, then we win. That would give it comfort. But instead, because they're not winning now, and yet, thanks to social media and, well, the culture, you're aware that the Raiders haven't won the Super Bowl in a long time, plus whatever frustrations he's going through that are individual to his experience there, he says, if we were being honest, it's been a losing culture around here for a long time. Because it would lead anybody to say, okay, well, what do you mean? So here is the video where he actually made that statement, but I don't believe there was a follow up. But you could tell from the start of it with his body language and his hunching that, hey, there's a problem here that needs to be straightened out. This is Ashton.
If we're being honest, it's been, a losing culture around here for a long time. But we have to continue to work to fix that and bring winning back here. Is it almost up?
Yeah, see, you have to. He said the right thing. You have to continue to fix that and be winning. Be willing and be willing to bring winning back. But I would have preferred to hear, aside from it's been a losing culture, we're on a great track, and once we get ourselves in place where we're running our plan correctly, the wins will come. Because, first of all, someone would have said that to him as a way of saying, here's how you stay the course. No one has said that to him. And in particular, Chip Kelly has not put him in a position to put his performance together and see a victory out of what he's doing. That's not happening. So, again, the coaching staff leads the way. And I'm not saying Pete Carroll needs to be fired. But I am saying, again, that Chip Kelly needs to be sent his walking papers because he's not making effective change in the offense. He is not making effective change in the offense. When is that going to come? Do you know? Do I know? I don't know. You don't know. When is it coming? Because we have, the next week coming up, we think maybe it's going to be then. But the bottom line is, if you take a look at the past games, we don't have anything developing to give us hope. A lot of people pointed at turnovers. It's almost as if, to me, the offensive coordinator is more concerned about what fans think and maybe even maybe responding to what Mark Davis says through the fans, that he says, okay, well, I have to put in Kenny Pickett. which is ridiculous. Or I have to have Geno Smith run a rollout pass, which he did the previous game, and that worked, and they was a contributor to a win. But then it begs the question: why didn't he do some variation of it this week? If you're going to have him pass efficiently, why have that be a one-game thing? Okay, why have that be the only game where you do that? All right, and that's the question that Raider fans should be asking, and that's the question the Raiders themselves should be asking of themselves. And I don't see that that's what's going on. There has to be an establishment of standards to have the expectation of wins. When you don't have an establishment of standards, you don't have an expectation of wins. What you have is Ashton Jeanty, the rookie, the star rookie, first round draft pick, hunching his shoulders as if to send the message that they have been defeated before the next game starts. And that's bad. That's bad. That's not the look that you want. The Raiders have some fundamental offensive design and execution problems. First, it's a design problem. What is the design problem? First of all, it's not varied enough. Second of all, with respect to the receivers, the Raiders do not use the width of the field, sideline to sideline. Then they do not have play action plays where Gentry is being faked to, and then he comes out and goes out for the pass. We haven't seen a steady diet of that. I can go on and on and on about what we haven't seen offensively. The question is, will the Raiders do it? I can provide my observations, you have yours, but the Raiders coaches are the ones that put it in. The Raiders dutifully execute it. Raiders players, dutifully execute it because they want to get and maintain their jobs. If you can't get a job by doing something the coach didn't ask you to do, if it turns out to be a touchdown, what happens is that the coach turns that something you did by accident or by your own design and makes his design, or in other sports, her design as coach, and it becomes a play so that the coach gets the credit. But if you didn't come up with that design, that intent, or if you did and it doesn't work, you sit on the bench because you're going against the coach's game plan. Therefore, you have to go with the coach's game plan. And so it's the coach's fault if you screw up. Okay? Because no one should assume that just because the coach designed the play and called it, that it's automatically going to be right. If it didn't work, it means it's because it was wrong, more often than not. But I'm concerned about Ashton Gentry's statement that he made. Being a rookie just coming in, it means that he's in the doldrums, and the Raiders coaching staff has to get him out of it. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark NFL News by Zenny62.com.